recently broke the news that you're going to retire from Elite Series competition. And, I mean, does this mean you're going to stop competitively fishing, period, or what else are you going to be involved with going forward?
I don't think I'll ever stop totally. I think it's in your blood, and you're always going to want to compete. And I don't think you should retire and not do anything. That's not my idea of a good time. But I'm just a little burnt out on all the traveling from one end of the country to the other. And I'm kind of at that point where I want to fish where I want to fish rather than be told where to fish. So that's the main reason that I backed off. Of course, I've got a few physical issues with the knees and the backs. And I got in a situation where I had an old football injury on a knee that finally wore out, and I had to have an artificial knee put in a few years ago. And it built up some scar tissue about partway through the season this year and started to push the kneecap up. So it, whether I was overcompensating for that or whatever, then the back started to act up. You know, one thing can affect something else. And so the last half of the season was not much fun physically, and that certainly played a part in the decision. But bottom line is, no, I'm going to continue to fish some events and continue to work with what sponsors need some help promoting product.
Been on the David Letterman show. Ain't many fishermen can say that. How did that go for you? What was that like?
It was a great experience. You're always a little apprehensive when you get involved in something like that because you know you're representing more than just yourself. You're representing your sponsors, your fellow anglers, and obviously the whole industry, so it puts a little more pressure on you. But it was a fun experience. It went real well and went well enough that we got invited back and got to go on another time. So, you know, to get on David Letterman twice, that's just an experience I'll never, ever forget without a doubt. I thought that was quite an honor. And I guess it was because I was so damn good looking.
You won the FLW Angler of the Year, and they had the deal with Wheaties. You got to become the first bass angler ever pictured on a box of Wheaties. What was that like? Did you go in the store and see yourself on a box of cereal, and was that kind of weird?
It was kind of weird, you're right. I actually did, and you just, at the time, it's hard to put that into words. And I think, you know, once you get beyond it, a few years later, you have greater appreciation for what happened and what you did. And I mean, I still sign Wheaties boxes. People show up at weigh-ins, and they've had one laying around for years. So it's probably the one thing in my career that's had more legs than anything else as far as reaching people outside the immediate industry that, hey, you're the guy that was on that Wheaties box. And, you know, you just don't think a couple years after the thing happened that anybody's even going to relate to that. But that's a big deal to a lot of people, so it's been pretty cool.
Of all the places you've stayed all the years on tour, where's the worst, most unusual or uncomfortable place you've ever had to sleep during a tournament?
Well, when I started out, I was sleeping in the back of a borrowed van. The marina that I actually had rigged my boat were kind enough to let me borrow their van to go to tournaments. So, I mean, I slept in a sleeping bag in the back of the van the first couple of years I was on the road. So that's probably the most uncomfortable it got. I can remember having a half full drink, a Coke or whatever in the van, and woke up one morning, it was solid ice. So that's not my idea of a good place to stay.